Hello, guys. Today we'll be reviewing section 1.3 of business management. So we're going to begin. So first, we're going to be talking about the vision and mission statements. So what are they, and what's the difference between them? Because they're both statements, but what differentiates them and what they are specifically to external stakeholders and internal stakeholders. Now, you have to really, especially now in the new syllabus of beginning May 2024 of business management, knowing your stakeholders is extremely crucial and important. So let's begin. So firstly, what's a vision statement? So a vision statement is a vision or set of principles which steers the direction and principles of the business. So basically, to internal stakeholders, we're going to be explaining who are internal stakeholders, because part of the criteria of business management is to evaluate to a certain extent. So we are going to have to know our internal and external stakeholders. So internal stakeholders are employees of the business, workers of the business, shareholders of the business, if it's a company. Um, the suppliers, no, the suppliers are not the internal stakeholders. It's mainly employees, those within the business, those who work in the business. So basically, having a vision statement will inspire and motivate employees because they actually have a purpose. They have something, the vision they're looking forward to, a vision they want to achieve. So it's something that will make them more efficient in their work due to the fact that it inspires and motivates them. For external stakeholders, who are external stakeholders? External stakeholders are customers, they're the community. It's basically customers in the community mainly. And it's the vision statement that which binds the customers and the community to the business by giving them a sense of shared beliefs. So a mission statement, however, which is different from a vision statement, it's basically states the company's purpose and why the business exists. So basically, it just says, why, for example, if it's a company that like creates electric friendly cars, let's say, their purpose might be, helping the environment, making the world a more sustainable place. That's an example. So a mission statement includes the business aims and whether expressly stated, like they say it, or they just imply it, its most important value. So basically, it's ethics, what it finds most important. Some business values may be family, other business values may be the environment, like the example I previously gave you. So it's really dependent on the business itself. For external stakeholders, the mission, sorry, I'm going to start with the internal stakeholders. So for the internal stakeholders, the mission statement provides a means for accountability by defining key performance indicators. So for example, if the business is saying that their purpose is to be sustainable, let's say it's a fashion brand, it's a clothing brand that basically uses, like for example, the brand Pangaya, we can use it as an example where this business uses recycled material to make the clothing. We know that this is their, like what they do because they're sustainable. So their purpose is being sustainable. So key performance indicators is how much they're contributing to sustainability. So basically, that's basically it. And for external stakeholders, the mission statement measures how successful the business is at achieving its mission, because these stakeholders would be seeing how the impact that the business is giving, and that's how they'll evaluate how successful it is. So now we have the business objectives. Now, I know that this is quite detailed, so if you have an official exam, then just know what these are. These aren't the most important aspects, but you should definitely know what they are. So, business objectives. So, the articulated and measurable targets that business must meet in order to achieve long-term goals or its aims. So, I would just capitalize or underline long-term goals. It is critical that the objectives are measurable and specific. We're going to talk about this more specifically later. The words measurable and specific. Strategic objectives are basically long-term goal of a business that indicates how the business intends to actually achieve its goals. Strategic objectives usually include performance goals. Tactical objectives are basically short-term to medium-term goals. So, in that if met consistently will help the business reach its strategic goals. Tactical objectives are usually set by executive management working with middle-level management. So now you can tell that tactical objectives are done in order to reach this strategic objective, and strategic objectives are done in order to reach business objectives. So you can see it in that way, and you can also tell from the terms of the goals whether they're long term, short term. So here we're gonna also understand that. And basically those, like, executing the goals, because it can either be upper management, lower management, that kind of stuff. And then you can talk about how a business tactic is a plan to achieve a tactical objective, to work towards the strategy of the business. Tactics will be short term and will require middle managers to make the decisions approved by senior managers. So as we can see, it's like a chain, which we will be talking about in chapter 2. So operations objectives, it's basically floor managers will ensure the specific objectives will ensure that tactical objectives are met. So like I said, it's like a chain. So operational objectives are done in order to achieve tactical in order to achieve strategic, and strategic in order to reach business. So I personally would just make an acronym, even though the acronym doesn't make sense really. It's just like OTSB, like OTSB, but I would just memorize it as OTSB, because operational, tactical, strategical, business. So you like, it's like a kind of effect where once you do one, you do the second and the third and the fourth. So you need to do each to achieve the other. So that's how I would memorize them. But again, I don't think you should really sweat on these, because these are really, really, really small details that are maximum 2 to 4 marks. If and your exam's out of 50, so you need to focus on the bigger picture. But knowing these is crucial, and of course, the more you know of the syllabus, the better. So now we're going to continue with the goals. So SMART objectives. So basically, SMART is basically an acronym for what in each business objective should be. So basically, it should be specific, so you don't really lose focus. It should be measurable, because the business should be able to have the resources in order to actually achieve this objective. It should be achievable. Uh, Basically, the business should be able to actually have, again, the resources, the tools, the skill set in order to achieve the actual goal. And by measurable, it also means that the goal is able, like, you're able to see the success rate of the business's performance, meaning that you're able to identify how much the business has actually achieved, like how close are they to the goal, have they achieved the goal, to what extent have they achieved the goal. So to think of that, like the objective. And then the relevant, how relevant is it to the business if they achieve this objective or this goal, and how will this positively affect the business, the extent to which it will affect the business, and how will it affect the business operations, its financials, its HR. So we need to like know these details. And it's time specific, so they need to know, because for business, again, for business, it's very crucial to always talk about the costs and the time, cost and time. If it's costly, if it's time consuming, you always need to include this in business, whether you're evaluating or whether you're looking at the objective, right? Like right now, like, is this goal, how long will it take to execute, etc., when will it be done? So this is very important. So again, SMART is a good acronym, and this is basically what you should know for the goals, the objectives. So strategies are not unplanned. They involve careful analysis of where the business currently is, so the business actually needs to be aware of where it actually stands, and what it needs to like improve, where it like has gaps. The development of a plan, strategies for how the business wants to be, so how the business will get to where it wants to be, so where it is currently, where it wants to be. Careful consideration of how to implement the strategy, so the ways in which to achieve the goal, and a periodic evaluation process to determine whether the plan has worked or will work after the period of time. So after the business begins executing this certain objective, they're going to have to think, like, did we actually become closer to reaching this objective? Did we make any progress? Is the rate of progress that we're in going to get us there at a specific amount of time? Because again, the objectives, like we previously mentioned, they need to be time specific. So to think of it that way. So now, moving on, we need to see the need for organizations to change objectives. So like I said, we have internal and external of a business. So for the internal part, we have leadership. So a change in leadership may lead to changes in objectives and aims, because we do know that there are different leadership styles. And again, we're going to have to talk about that later throughout the syllabus in chapter 2. But a change in leadership, no matter what, will always lead to changes, even if the leadership is like kind of similar. in like style, I mean, it's always going to lead to change or whatnot, but the extent of change may differ. Sometimes new leaders may have a leadership style which is new to the business, like I previously mentioned, which can require significant change in objectives. Then we have HR. HR basically stands for human resources, and we need to talk about how this can change. So is if the employees change, if many new employees are like they're hired because of the business growth, or many employees are let like they're laid off due to the like economic recessions or whatnot. So I'm just like giving you really broad examples so you can just understand that a change in HR will lead to a change in the internal environment, because again, employees are crucial for any business because their productivity and efficiency and motivation, it really affects the operations of a business and how the business operates in the organization. So given the interconnectedness of all business functions, so the finances, the marketing, the HR, all of these parts of the business, they're all interconnected. So changes in one area can cause changes in another. So also like changes in, like I said, um, I think this is strategic objectives. Sorry. So basically, like I said, I gave you the acronym before. Um, so you changes in strategic objectives may like also, or changes in tactical objectives may change strategic objectives. So both of those will change, but I mean like changes in one will change the other, because of course tactical objectives are implemented in order to reach strategic objectives. So you just need to like think of it that way. You need to think of the fact that it's interconnected. And then product. So basically, at times, the performance of a product in the marketplace may require changes in the product or even the product line. So, for example, this is like especially true for our changes in technology. So once you face changes in the product, then you're going to have to really change many things in the business, like the production processes and even the HR, because you may need different expertise. Finance. So when the circumstance of finance change, especially when the sources of finance decrease, again, we're going to be talking about that further in the syllabus. It's part of chapter 3, but basically when the business has less access to finance, or if there's like economic downturns. Oh no, never mind. Do not ignore the economic downturns part, just because this is external to the business. But basically, that, and then you have operations. So most businesses are innovating constantly by offering new products, but also developing better methods for producing delivery or service for of their core service or product. Like I said, the in the day and age we live in, especially with the technological advances, many times businesses are like coming up with new production processes. Usually, like when it comes to machinery and capital, when they're producing their products in order to be faster and more efficient, even more cheaper at times in the long term, they will change. So changes in objectives can necessitate other changes in objectives, like I briefly mentioned. At times, changes in operations can occur for everyday reasons, such as relocating a factory. So these are like all the things that can happen within a business, because that's why it's called internal. A really good thing about business management in general is that it's very based on common sense. So once you just know the word, you can really relate it without having to have known the concept that deeply. So now let's talk about changes to external environment, and this is refers to STEEPLE. So STEEPLE is an acronym for social, technological, economic, ethical, political, and legal and ecological changes. So you technically do have to memorize these, unfortunately, but yeah. So basically, let's talk about social changes. So social changes may force the business to reappraise its objectives. So basically, we like, this is again, like you can relate business to real life, which is, so in my opinion, what really makes it beautiful and easy, because and the over time the values of society change. So, and this is not really like related to business, but like when values of society changes, this is reflected in the laws. Like for example, like let's say 200 years ago, our laws were nothing like today. So this is just, I'm just trying to explain how social changes in society, or like in the culture, or the demographic change even cause changes in the business. Technological changes. So due to rapid era of technological change, like I constantly mentioned, a product rendered from a business can be rendered obsolete or non-competitive. So basically, especially this comes to machinery, because machinery becomes, for example, like machinery which is old compared to new technology produces way less units per like as a certain period of time than newer ones. That's why it becomes obsolete. Technological innovation can force change in production technique if a competitor develops a cheaper method of production in other businesses. So again, this is something I already mentioned. Economic changes, so changes in economic state, like whether it's an inflation or recession. Don't really get into these, just know these basic words. This is the only time you have to get into these if you're an economic student. And changes in market conditions. So this is the presence of new competitors, obviously, especially if they're playing with the prices. We have ethical objectives. So basically, expectations of external stakeholders, changes in ethical values in society can force a business to change its practice, especially lately with the sustainability. Well, this is actually very related to business management, especially when it comes to sustainability and people's standards of sustainability and having green credentials. It's very, very important for business to be sustainable. So, and this is an example for ethics. It's very important for ethics actually, and businesses are having to invest in ethical production processes and whatnot, in order to actually fit in with the ethical standards of society. And also sustainable practices, ethics in lending, diversity in hiring, attentiveness to sexual harassment, and product safety have led to many changes in our business objectives. So again, with the increasing awareness of those things, we have to really keep those in mind. Now, political. So basically, changes in the political system may often face businesses, often face business to change its approach. Multinational companies may plan for the possibility of change in the political system and will often carry out a country risk assessment. And this is actually very, very apparent. Of course, we're going to be talking about this further in the syllabus if you're just starting out your IB journey. The risk assessment, and usually when countries, they want to get, like, they want, like, when businesses want to expand to new countries, they actually do a risk assessment, and this is actually very obvious in the decision trees. I think it was in the 2019 session. I don't know whether it was May or November. I'm guessing November, but this is just an example. A country risk assessment attempts to determine the likelihood that drastic political change would take place, which would risk investment or operations of a business there. So political tensions are very important because if any political tensions take place, then the business is essentially to a certain extent destroyed. Then we have legal, because like I said, like legalities include regulation, taxes, and other factors, and things that the business is and is not allowed to do. So this is very important. And the growing environment awareness and the green revolution have had significant events for many businesses. So this is for ecological. It's also for ethical to a certain extent, but yeah. And actually, the green revolution has to do with CSR. So basically, corporate social responsibility. So CSR is the view. This is very, 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 very important. You can even get 10 markers on that. So CSR, which stands for corporate social responsibility, is a view that the business should not solely focus on increasing shareholder value, meaning that they shouldn't like just focus on increasing their profits so that they have more dividends to pay for their shareholders, but instead they should contribute to the economic, social, and environmental well-being of society, especially the community which they belong to. And again, keep in mind the community is an external stakeholder. Companies can operationalize a commitment to CSR in many ways. So they can do this through philanthropy, generous salaries and wages for their workers, flexi time. So basically, flexi time, we're going to be talking about it further throughout the syllabus in chapter 2. But basically, it's when the workers have like the employees of a business have like a specific time frame where they can work at, which accommodates to their needs, such as like taking care of their children and whatnot. And then you also have doing beyond the environmental measures required by the government. So basically, they're doing beyond what's legally required by like contributing positively to the environment. Maybe they're donating to charities which help the environment, or maybe they're like planting trees, because many businesses actually like do that. For every like donation you do, you like there's a plant or something planted. So this is just an example. Now, reasons organizations set ethical objectives. So you have building up customer loyalty. So customers are more likely to return to a business they trust and respect. And ethical objectives can, sorry, I wrote this twice. And ethical objectives can foster this. So this is very important because customer loyalty, or if you can just say brand loyalty, because in business management they grade you on the terminology used, the business terminology used. So the more words you use, in right loyalty, so you guys can just remember, the more business terminology you use, the more the examiner feels like you know what you're talking about. You're focusing on the subject of business, and you know your syllabus, you've studied, you've done your homework basically. Especially that these customers, they feel like the business isn't just prioritizing making profits, but they also want to like do something good. So they also have they build a trust with the business, which makes them more loyal to the business. More loyalty means that more customers, which means more profit. So it's kind of a very, very good situation for the business to be in. Creating a positive image. So again, brand image. So these are all keywords from chapter 4, but it's extremely crucial to write these in your answers. Especially this is the DP2 student wanting to review for their exams. Both existing and potential customers are likely to shop at businesses with good reputations. Customers will likely avoid businesses with reputations deemed as untrustworthy. So like I said, if they don't trust the business, then this is going to be a big problem for them. Developing positive work environment. So again, this is very good for the employees because like I said, they're like more their motivation, their efficiency, their productivity is crucial for the business. Reducing the risk of legal redress, like I said, that there's many legalities. Some unethical behavior by the business can be redressed by the government or by businesses or by customers. Even if the business wins the court case, the process will be costly because of course hiring lawyers is extremely costly and time consuming, and also cause like damage to the firm's reputation, which will harm its brand image, like I previously mentioned, the word brand image. And you have to keep in mind that you can also talk about the fact that business laws change throughout time, like like society's ethics changes, so do laws. So maybe there may be new laws regarding the environment, especially with the increasing like depletion of the environment. Um, talking about how the new government laws may affect this is also important. So like future government laws, you can address that. Satisfying customers have even higher expectations for ethical behavior. So like we're seeing that with the internet, with social media, the actions and decisions of the business are highly visible. They're very scrutinized due to customers' very high ethics and unethical, like their awareness of ethical and unethical behavior. And they often punish unethical behaviors by not by like not patronizing the business and increasing profits. So many people seek out and purchase from the business that behave as ethically because they have a trust to the business, like I previously mentioned, which can lead to higher profits. Now we're going to be talking about impact of implementing ethical objectives. So in the business of itself, in the short term, costs are likely to rise and employees are accustomed to certain norms and practice may resist change. In the long term, the business may experience benefits from implementing ethical objectives. Competitors may have to respond in order to maintain their market position, so they may also have to implement like ethical objectives as well. Suppliers, if the business is implementing ethical objectives, they also might work with suppliers who are also like ethical, they're also like implementing ethical objectives or buying from ethical businesses. Suppliers have to respond to protect their orders, so to protect their own businesses technically. Customers, when businesses implement CSR, customers are more likely to trust the business and develop a brand loyalty, like I previously mentioned. The local community. So businesses who follow ethical objectives will have strong relationship with the local community, which can benefit them in terms of employment and goodwill. And the government, so implementing business ethical objectives, overall creating government business after objectives, fostering ethical objectives. So basically, they're all the same thing. Trust fosters like goodwill, brand loyalty. So it's basically all the same thing. It's mostly common sense, but you actually have to know these, especially if you want to evaluate. So now SWOT. SWOT's extremely important because it's a business tool. Remember, especially if you're an HL student, you need to know your business tools from the back of your hand because these tools you need them especially for your 17 marker in paper 3. And if you're SL student, you still need to know this because it's part of your syllabus and you can be asked this for any of your papers, paper 1s or paper 2s. So SWOT, what does it stand for? Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. It's very important to remember. Strength and weaknesses, they're internal to the business, whereas opportunities and threats are external to the business, meaning when they're internal to the business, they can be controlled by the business. However, when they're external to the business, they cannot be controlled by the business. So basically, strength and opportunities, they're positive factors. Weaknesses and threats are negative factors. So now let's talk about different strategies that businesses can use. So growth strategies, they're best achieved by combining the strength of a business with market opportunities, thus producing the most positive short-term strategies. So basically, it's a short-term strategy, keep in mind, because when they're combining the strength of a business with the market opportunities, I need to like, um, like make this in bold, guys. I think this is the same color. I think it's gonna be darker. Yeah. I don't know if these are the same color, but yeah. The business should pursue growth strategies only if it's confident that it does not have to have any big issues in any other area. So basically, if they have any threats, any weaknesses, especially, they have to make sure that they need to focus on those before like implementing the growth strategy. The defensive strategy is basically when they have both the like negative factors, which are weaknesses and threats. When these two are combined, they need to act defensively because they are vulnerable. Um, Defensive strategies are the most negative short-term strategy that a business can adopt, but they are vital for its survival. Reorientation strategies, basically, the business can adopt them by adjusting its weaknesses in order to use them for opportunities that are available in the market. The adoption assumes that the business will first address its weakness, then reorient itself into a new direction. They are positive and long term. So defensive and growth are short term, but reorientation is long term. Diffusing is basically it's just designed to eliminate wait me weaknesses, sorry, of a business. The diffusing strategy assumes that a business does not have to look for new opportunities, but can simply diffuse threats by focusing on core strengths. This is a neutral and medium to short-term strategy. So basically, this is it. Now, if you want to practice a SWOT analysis, for example, I'm going to be launching my new business where I will be actually tutoring one-to-one lessons or maybe some group lessons. And part of one of my packages is actually just training you instead of just explaining the material. I'll be training you, so I will actually do a SWOT together. I'll teach you how you need to write in order to follow the mark scheme, how you ensure that you get the most points. We'll practice some IB papers. So if you're interested, I'll be posting the details very, very, very soon, and they'll be in the link in bio of this video. So to proceed, we have another tool, which is the Ansoff Matrix. Again, you guys, especially if you're HL, but if you're SR, please know your business tools. So the Ansoff is basically you have product and market. So if you're working in an existing market with the existing product, that's called the market penetration. If you're using the same product to existing um, product, but a new market, so you're basically selling um let's say we're going to be talking about cosmetics. I'm just using an example. You're selling cosmetics in the US, but you decide to sell them in India. So this is the same product, but you're selling them now in a new market. So it's market development. So always remember that basically it's market development. Um, and then if you're doing a new product in the same market. So your business is into a certain market. You decide to expand your product line. You make a new product that's called product development. But if you're doing a new product under a new market, you're doing diversification. And remember, diversification is by far the riskiest strategy. So now we're going to be talking about market penetration after we just introduced it. So market penetration is basically, it occurs when a business grows by increasing its market share and selling more of its product in the existing product, in the existing market. Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote this. It is considered the safest option for growth. Market penetration relies heavily on promoting brand loyalty to encourage repeat customers and alert customers away from competition. So basically, once they make the brand trust them and they make the customers trust them and they make the customers loyal to them, this is how they pursue market penetration because they're just like selling more of their product in the same market, and it's safe because it does not require much investment. Then you have market development. Oh no, key factors to increase the chance of success are the potential of the market, the growth potential, the strength of customer loyalty. So the more they make the customers trust them, the more they give customers incentive to buy from them, which it may be through implementing ethical objectives, I guess. And then you have the power and ability of competitors. So again, the competitors will always respond to the actions of a business. So we need to keep in mind of that. Then you have market development. So market development, like I said, it's basically a new market, but the same product. So the market development is riskier than market penetration because it's in a new product. The business may not be familiar with the new market it's entering. And The new market may not be interested in in the products that the business has to offer or whatever services they have to offer. So basically, key factors that reduce the risk of market penetration is effective market research. So having local knowledge on the ground and having effective distribution channel and product development. So product development is basically development of new products in the same market. So it's riskier than market penetration, depending on how loyal the customers are to the original product. Meaning that if the customers they trust the brand, they love the brand, they are loyal to the brand, then they will probably be loyal to the new product that the brand is launching as well. Key factors to the risk to reduce the risk of market development is effective market research, having a strong research and development system. R&D, but remember, R&D is costly. And having first mover advantage, meaning that mover advantage is when they are the first to implement this in the market. So they lack competitors, and they are seen as the ones who originally made the product. So that will give them definitely an edge in the market. Diversification, which is again the riskiest one. It's when diversifying, introducing a new product to the market. A business combines the elements of risk, of lack of familiarity in the market, and the fact that the product is new and untested in the market. So these two things. Um, Remember that lack of familiarity in the market can mean like they don't have distribution channels, they don't have suppliers, etc. Key factors to reduce the risk of diversification. Again, effective market research. So since it's something that you can use for all, like, to reduce risk for like everything, for like market development, product development, and now diversification, you can talk about effective market research, which is basically where like they check the pricing of their competitors, and they check the demand of customers, um and their target customers, like who they want to sell to, etc. Recognition of the existing businesses. So like I previously mentioned, possible tie-ups with other businesses with necessary experience. So we're going to be talking about tie-ups and what, not exactly tie-ups, but like when two businesses, let's say, merge. We'll talk about that later in chapter 1. And due to due diligence to test to determine the attractiveness of the market and the cost of entering the market. So as well, like these are key things that the business has to take into consideration. And that's it, guys. Reached section 1.4. So I know that this section was quite intense because we literally did 2 business tools. And again, like I previously mentioned, if you guys want to actually do exercises on these business tools, then you can look in the description and bio to actually join my sessions, which will help you extremely implement everything I'm saying. And I can actually see your answers and see where your gaps are. So you need to know your business tools, especially if you're an HL student for paper 3. But they actually may ask you about these tools in paper 1 and 2. So for SL2. And CSR is crucial, and business objectives, you just need to know them. But I'm telling you from based on my experience that CSR and the business tools especially are crucial. And knowing your internal and external stakeholders and defining and explaining what mission and vision statements are. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. Bye bye. And I really hope you enjoyed this video.